Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? More Seahawks stuff coming up. We're like 15 minutes away from the first real preseason game of the year, so that's moderately exciting, I suppose. I'll watch a little bit of it, I suppose. But today we are going to be talking about the big guns on the Seahawks. We're going to make some predictions on who will be the best players for the Seahawks in 2021. Specifically, which Seahawks will make the Pro Bowl in 2021. Or, well, it's the 2022 Pro Bowl, but for the 2021 season. So, basically, it's going over the five guys who I think will make the biggest positive contributions to the team over the course of the year. Now, before we get into things, I want to say real quick, there's a very good chance we may get Tyler Ott into the Pro Bowl again just because that was a thing that we did that we thought was funny. But I'm not really talking about that. Like, he might make it, he might not. But that doesn't really have anything to do with football or him being one of our best players, right? That's just us being meme lords. And he's a good player. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it, but us getting guys like Tyler Ott into the Pro Bowl, that's different. So we may do that again, and that's cool. And I like Tyler Ott, but not talking about him. I'm talking about the guys who are actually going to play at a really high level for us this year and be considered one of the best players at their position enough to make the Pro Bowl. So, with that, the five players on the Seahawks who I think will make the Pro Bowl in 2021. Well, 2022. First, we're going to do an honorable mention, a guy who I think has a good chance to make the Pro Bowl, but I don't think he will. I don't think he's going to get quite there, but it's Gerald Everett. Now, if you take a look at Gerald Everett's stats over the last 2 years in particular, they're pretty good, but they're not on that Pro Bowl level. But I don't think he's that far away. Last year, the Pro Bowl tight end for the NFC was TJ Hawkinson. It's not some future Hall of Fame superstar stud that everyone loves. The AFC has Travis Kelce, but in the NFC, it was a little dry. TJ Hawkinson and Evan Ingram on the Giants. Those guys made the Pro Bowl last year. It wouldn't take that much for an NFC tight end to be part of a competent offense, a good team, catch maybe 500 yards worth of passes, and make it. So I don't think he's going to make the Pro Bowl, but he would be my honorable mention sleeper. Just putting that out there. Okay, now let's get to the five guys who I think will make the Pro Bowl for the Seahawks this year. And I'm not here to try to be the smartest guy and tell you, oh, Colby Parkinson's going to make the Pro Bowl, or, Robert Nkemdiche's going to be an All-Pro this year. I'm not doing that. That's silly, okay? We're going to stay to the stuff that we know is most likely going to happen and then go from there. So most of these selections are going to be very obvious. So much so, they're barely even worth mentioning. But nevertheless, let's start with Russell Wilson. I mean, he makes the Pro Bowl basically every year. His stats are great. He always wins more games than he loses. Threw 40 touchdowns last year despite falling off a cliff in the second half of the season. It's tough to imagine Russell Wilson not making the Pro Bowl, even if he doesn't have a great year. And I want to be clear, I don't know if Wilson's going to have one of his best years ever in 2021. In fact, I think he's probably going to struggle at points. But if you look around the NFC, Aaron Rodgers is still really good, and he's going to be playing this year, as it turns out. Drew Brees retired. We still have Brady, but that third spot seems relatively wide open at the moment in the NFC. And who's likely to sneak up and steal it from Wilson? Maybe Matt Ryan has one last big year. They just traded Julio, so it's tough for me to imagine that. Could one of the rookies just steal the spotlight? I doubt it very much. Matthew Stafford maybe is the best bet, but Wilson, with the reputation that he has, plus the fact that even if he doesn't have an amazing season, he's going to have a good season. Like, when I say I expect the offense to sputter a little bit this year and Wilson to occasionally struggle, I'm talking about him having a season more like what he had in maybe 2013, not a season like where he throws more interceptions than touchdowns. That's not in his character. That's not how he does things. So Pro Bowl prediction number 1, Wilson will make the Pro Bowl for the NFC in 2021. Now, we don't want him to play in that game, but this is about, obviously, making the roster. So, that's pick number 1. Pick number 2 is similarly predictable. I'm not shocking anybody when I say I think DK Metcalf will be making the Pro Bowl for the Seahawks in 2021. This is a guy who is just stacking tremendous performances on top of each other. And even if the offense isn't incredible this year, he should still put up his numbers, because when in doubt, you're going to want to throw it to this guy because he's fast, he's big, he's athletic, he makes crazy good catches sometimes, and it makes a lot of sense that you would use DK Metcalf as sort of a bailout when in doubt. So I do think DK Metcalf, even if our offense doesn't manage to get into like the top 5 or even the top 8, I think you're going to see Metcalf have like maybe 90 catches for 1,300 yards, and we'll go with 13 touchdowns, something like that. And I think that'll be good enough to get back to the Pro Bowl. So that's number 2. Okay, now we go over to the defense, and again, we're going to keep things very straightforward. Bobby Wagner's reputation in the NFL is such that it's really hard for him to not make the Pro Bowl. Now, I'm not saying that when he makes the Pro Bowl, he's going to have deserved it. In fact, I actually think it's more likely that he won't deserve it when he gets his Pro Bowl selection. I don't think he deserved it in 2019, and he definitely didn't deserve his All-Pro selection, and I'm dubious of whether or not he deserved it in 2020. But I think he will make it. He's made the Pro Bowl for 7 straight years now. His tackle numbers should be good again. I think the offense not being as good as it was in previous years in terms of raw point totals is going to help Bobby, because teams are going to get to run the ball a little more against us because they're not going to be chasing our leads all game, and that'll allow him to get more tackles. I'm not saying that makes him a better player. It doesn't. That's one of the fallacies of the way some people look at football right now. They think tackle numbers are really important when they're not. But people are going to look at his tackle total at the end of this season, which may very well be around 150, and they're going to think, wow, this guy's really good. As for whether or not Bobby Wagner will be the best middle linebacker or a top 3 middle linebacker in the league this year, I'm a little more dubious of that, I have to admit. But if you look around the conference at the guys he's competing with, I think he's going to make the Pro Bowl again. And I do think he's going to have a good season because he's got a better defensive line in front of him than he has before. And I think he's going to have better cornerbacks backing him up than he's had before. So my only concern about Bobby is coverage. But I feel like he's going to go ahead and make it. All right, so that was number 3. Let's go to Pro Bowl selection number 4, Jamal Adams. This is another pretty easy one. I mean, this guy missed 4 games last year, limped through a few games with an injury, and still made the Pro Bowl. So his reputation is sterling. If he plays all 16 games and doesn't embarrass himself every other week, he's good. He's going to make the Pro Bowl almost certainly. I don't think this needs that much analysis. He almost broke the sack record for defensive backs last year. This year, if he stays healthy, he should start forcing more turnovers. He should start getting more involved in the run game. You should see him be better this year than he was last year in all likelihood. So, yeah, Jamal Adams will be a Pro Bowler almost for sure in 2021. He just has to play the games at this point and not embarrass himself. His reputation is such that he just has to not drop his pants, basically. All right, so those were the 4 layups. Those guys are very likely to make the Pro Bowl in 2021. But I had to throw in a little bit of a shocker, a sleeper, a dark horse. And I thought about making it Gerald Everett, but the more I thought about it, I was like, I think we're going to spread the ball around a little bit outside of the Metcalf thing. I think Metcalf's going to get his targets because he's DK Metcalf and he's really good, but I couldn't quite do it with Gerald Everett. I'm going to do it with another player who the Seahawks just signed, and there's a very good chance that I end up being wrong on this one, but I'm willing to live with that possibility. I say our 5th and final Pro Bowler will be Akelo Witherspoon, cornerback. So he's got the Seahawky attributes that Carroll loves. He's got the length, he's got the height, he's got the physicality. We know he had great moments in Frisco. We know he also had some really bad moments in Frisco, but we're hoping that superior defensive back coaching can bring out something great from him. So the groundwork is laid for him to have a good season in 2021. He's going to have, even with us not having Aldon Smith, because we obviously don't, he's going to have a great pass rush backing him up, almost certainly. He's also going to have a deep group of cornerbacks backing him up, with DJ Reed, Trey Brown, Trey Flowers. These guys are not great, but they're going to push each other, I think. You're going to see these guys competing against each other in practice every day. That has to have a positive effect on your play on the field on Sundays. So, Akelo Witherspoon, I think he's going to have a good season. I think he's going to benefit tremendously from our pass rush. I think he's going to work some of the negative things out of his game. This is a contract year for him. He signed a 1-year deal, so what he does this year is going to impact the next contract that he gets, which could very well be the last contract he ever gets. So this is important. And I'm going to say that if he can stay on the field, Akelo Witherspoon will be the next Carroll defensive back to make the Pro Bowl after, by and large, being left for dead by the rest of the NFL. So, that's my sleeper. I thought about it for a while. Who's going to come out of nowhere, snatch a Pro Bowl spot? Again, I played with Gerald Everett. I thought about Chris Carson a little bit, but I wasn't feeling it with them. But you know what? Michaela Witherspoon, I think this guy's going to become a ball hawk this year. I think you're going to see him make a lot of plays on the ball. I think you're going to see him make a lot of plays thanks to our really good pass rush. I think he's going to fit in great with this defense. And Akelo Witherspoon will be the 5th Pro Bowler for the Seahawks. All right, see you guys later. Going to try to stream later today. We'll see what happens. But peace out. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think down below.